Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Build Your Best Life. I am so excited to have you here this evening, whether you are here locally or anywhere around the world. We are just so excited to have you here today. And I'm excited to have my special guest, Miss Cynthia Ferguson, here with me today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
Great. Well, everybody, as you know, my platform is designed to assist high school age and young adult males as they follow my basic principles to overcome obstacles from their personal lives and society to build their best lives. I believe it's better to train early rather than to fix later. So Cynthia is here today as a parent who has raised sons, and she is going to assist us as we talk about some things. So I would like to introduce her at this time. Miss Cynthia B. Ferguson is the founder of Wolfettes Empowerment Girls Group, which was started in 2014. A school medic, mentor, certified life coach, and board president of Divas Build Futures Inc. Cynthia was born in Dallas, Texas, and has lived there her entire life. She has worked in the medical field since 1993 in various areas. Cynthia is a mother of two young men and one young boy, one being her biological child and two being her God-promised children. How awesome is that?
Mhm.
In 2004, she became a board member for Angels Are Us, located on the St. Pius X Catholic Church property. She headed up the domestic violence program for women. In 2012, she went to work for the Legacy Preparatory as their nurse medic and loves what she does. That is where she started the Wolfettes Empowerment Girls program in 2014. She saw the need for these young ladies to learn and know that they have the power within themselves to do whatever they put their minds to. Sometimes they just need the guidance, and that's where she comes in. This program teaches them about their self-worth, builds confidence, self-esteem issues, communication skills, etiquette, polite conversation, body image, interview skills, and much more. In 2019, she became the board president of Divas Build Futures Inc., which is an organization focused on helping young ladies ages 10 to 25 in all aspects of their walk in life. She also became a certified life coach this same year. Cynthia knew at a young age that she wanted something different in her life, but did not know what that was until she became older. After her sister was murdered in 2002, it was like a light switch turned on immediately, and she realized what she was supposed to be doing. It was to help ladies any age know what they are worth. Her goal was to help these ladies figure out how they were going to accomplish this. She had to work through her own trials throughout her life, but this is what has made her who she is today. She says, life only gets better from here on out. One of her favorite quotes is, "You're a diamond, dear. They can't break you."
That's right.
Awesome, 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 awesome. And I love it that you work with young ladies, and this platform is for young men because, one of the reasons why we need young men to step up and be better because, there's a young lady out there somewhere, hopefully for them. And when they go to them, they want to be the best that they can be so that they can make good significant others and husbands. So, I love the things that you are doing with the girls, but tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do. It sounds amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, like you said, I'm Cynthia Ferguson. I am a school nurse medic for a charter school here in Plano, Texas. I love what I do. It's funny how we can sit up here and say what we won't do or what we're going to do, but God has a whole other, He has the plan for us. When I was younger, I always said I would never, ever work in the medical field. And I surely was not going to ever work in a school. But here I am. Here I am. And it is the most satisfying job I've had throughout my whole entire life. And I love what I do. I have two boys and, well, three, one biological and two God promised. And those were just my miracle. They're all my miracle babies. And I just love life. I'm at the point in my life where I been through stuff. I'm sure I'll go through more stuff, but it's how we look at things and how we want to move forward, and not just sit there and dwell in our past, because there's nothing we can do to change it. There's nothing we can do to make it different. But there are changes that we can make to move forward. So that's where I am in my point in life right now.
Oh, that is awesome. Excuse me, I love it. Excuse me. But it is amazing. You say we, say what we won't do or whatever. That our topic today is why can't I? Why can't I? And it doesn't matter what age you may be. There's always going to be some rules.
Right.
It's not just for younger people, but everybody has rules. Somewhere at work, there's certain things you can and cannot do, in college and schools, even in daycare. Everybody has little rules. But as people get older, they want to fight up, fight against it. Why? But rules are always in place for a reason. And it really helps, because when you know what is expected of you, then you have a guideline. It's different if you don't know, because if you don't know, you just do whatever. But if you have guidelines, you kind of follow those. And then if you go astray of those, then you're intentionally disobeying. So it's good to have those rules, because you don't want to, if you want to build your best life, be a nice young lady, respectful in everything, you don't want to take those actions that are not acceptable. You want to try to follow the rules and do those things that, have good ethics about you. You want to be held accountable. You want to have self-discipline. These are some of the things that you want to be able to do. So I came in, why can't I? Because I can remember, raising my sons, that you tell them they can't do something, and they always want to tell you about why. Well, so and so is doing it. Why can't I? Because
Right.
But boys often want to fit in so badly, they don't understand why parents do not always just say yes to everything that they request. My friend is allowed to do it. Why can't I?
Right.
Cynthia, why do you think, tell us why you think that can't sometimes is so important?
Wow. I mean, even as adults, we don't like to hear you can't do that, because at that time, we feel like we're grown, and why can't we make our own decisions? Well, I try to look at it as like these young men or young boys that are trying to become men want to take that step a little too soon. They want to go ahead and, I'm grown. I'm old enough to make my decisions. In reality, we know that they're not, but they're trying to find that transition from the younger age to making that transition to the next stage, and they feel that they can make the right decisions. And can't is a big word. No, you can't. We teach our children not to use the word can't in a different, whole different realm. But so when they hear can't, it's like, well, you said don't use the word can't, but not knowing that it's not that you can't do it. It's just that at this time, it's not the right time, or it's not the appropriate time, or it's not the right age, or for whatever reason, you just can't at that time. But also, they're wanting to know, well, why? Why can't I? And, it depends on the relationship that you have with your children, especially our young men right now. They're trying to step out there. They're trying to be grown. They're trying to be young men. And a lot of times our young kids, young girls and boys, don't have the proper guidance. Even though parent may be there, it may be a single parent family, they may be on their own. There's a lot of different reasons that they feel that I can't is not going to work for them. And we as parents know that, we have to step up and say no at sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm like you. I teach on my platform, never use the word never and never use the word can. I should use it a lot.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but it's just funny. It's like, well, why? I don't understand. They're the same age I am, or I'm older and they can do something and I can't do it. I just don't understand why I can't. But a lot of times, if you look back on your life, I'm sure, because I know when I look back on mine, now I can see, oh my goodness, God saved me from so
Yeah,
many things because
yeah.
I wasn't trying to make good decisions. I was just
Well, I don't think they really realize that we may have been there. We may have done that. And it's experience that we don't want them to go through that. Or we haven't done that and we know what the outcome could possibly be. And so we're trying to protect them from that. That's our job as parents, to protect, our children, to protect our nephews, to protect our young men in the community. And a lot of times, it's just they want to hear it, they don't want to hear it. It's just a big variety of things that it's hard because nowadays kids just want to do what they want to do, and the way that our times are changing. This generation is more lax than when we grew up. It should still be the same strict, you know, guidelines with parents, but we want to give our children so much more than what we have, not realizing that sometimes we give them a little too much and it's hindering them instead of helping them in some aspects of their life.
right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Now, I know, one of the things I teach is as parents, we need to communicate better so it's not always just, we need to listen sometimes. But however, do you think that it is necessary to explain when we say that they can't do something, or you're not allowed to do something, that is necessary to give an explanation as to why, to get them to understand? Or is it because I said so sufficient?
That's kind of a catch-22 question, because you want to show your children, the young men, that I'm in charge and what I say goes, you know. But nowadays, I think it's a good thing if you explain to your children, no, you can't do that right now because I feel that blah, 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 or because of I've seen, or whatever. I think just taking that little extra time to give them an explanation, although we don't owe it to them, helps them to understand where we're coming from. Will they always agree? No. Will they, maybe argue back with you and try to give you why they should? Probably so. But I think if you take the time to explain to them, I think it takes that little hit of no, you can't, just a little bit. I think it takes some of that off of them, and maybe they'll understand, or maybe it's just my hopes that they'll understand. With my boys, I would, say, no, I don't feel that it's the right time for this reason. No, I don't think that you should go for this reason. No, we can't do this because of this reason. And I know growing up, I used to always hear, you know, you can't do this. And one of the things that we would say is, well, why not? So and so is doing it, like you mentioned. And my parents would always respond, but I'm not worried about so and so. You're my responsibility, not them. So it's a catch-22, because we want to stand in our authority, but we also need to make sure that they understand where we're coming from as a parent's point of view. So it depends on the relationship that you have with your child. Um, and sometimes it takes work on both sides, especially as a parent. We do have to listen. We do need to be a little bit more open-minded in this generation, because, it's constantly changing. And what we used to do when we were younger, our parents may have thought, oh no, you can't do that because it's not appropriate, or it's not, that's bad, that's bad. Nowadays, there's a lot of things that are going on out there that can get our young men in a lot of trouble. Who they go with, who they hang out with. You know, you just have to be there at the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately, and you're part of what's going on if it's bad. I used to tell my boys, there's choices. You make choices, but also with those choices are consequences.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
yes. So, it just depends. That's a catch-22 question.
Yes. Yes. Good evening, Peggy. Peggy says we must be open-minded, and I agree. Yes, we have to, especially as you said, times are changing. So, some things are always relevant, but then other things are, changing all the time. In order to be, it's not that parents want to be friends. I don't think parents should be try to be friends with their children, but you do want to have a good open relationship. So, you have to have that conversation.
Right, right. I agree. You cannot be your child's friend. I think, that's in this generation now, especially you have a lot of younger moms to children, which I'm not saying is bad or wrong at all, but they tend, in my experience of seeing some of my friends or family or people that I know that are younger mothers, they want to be their friends of their children, and it doesn't work that way. It may work for a while, but then when they get older, they're wanting to walk all over their friend and not their parent. And if you had that boundary right there, you could say, stop, you're crossing that boundary. And most children know by a look, by a word, by a tone, when they're crossing the boundary.
All right. Yeah, I watch, I think it's Daily Blast, and they had a segment on about mothers and daughters. It started out with them looking alike, but it was like, are some of these mother-daughter relationships too close? And it was that, they wanted to dress alike, they wanted to get their hair alike, and in some of them you really couldn't tell which was the mom, which was the daughter. And then they said it would cross over into relationships, them liking the same person. I was like, how can that be? So
Yeah, 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 definitely.
I have to go to line. And you're talking about things changing with all this COVID stuff. Of course, the bans have been lifted and is basically getting back to business as norm. Even though the CDC and some state governors have lifted a lot of the restrictions, uh, only certain age groups have been approved to get the vaccine. So not everybody is still safe. Do you think it is unfair for parents, excuse me, to insist that their young people continue to wear masks and limit being in large gatherings? Are we being too strict in those instances?
Well, you have each individual family knows their family dynamics. They know who lives in the household. They know whether or not their immediate family has been vaccinated or not. They know whether they've had somebody in the family who has been sick with COVID or who has passed away or something like that from COVID. So each individual family has to discuss that. But I still choose to wear my mask. I wear it at work. I wear it when I go to the store. Of course, I don't wear it at home. Everybody in my household has been vaccinated. Most of my immediate family has been vaccinated. The few places that I do go, most people have been vaccinated. If we're outside and we're spread out, I'm okay with not wearing my mask. Now, if you want to come sit next to me and try to whisper and tell me something like that, I still have my guard. We just don't know enough about the virus to in my mind to let it go that easily. But as far as asking your children to wear the mask, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't, just because a lot of talk had been about children not contracting the virus or spreading it easily. Well, if you think back, children were in school at that time. Now we're getting back to school. There's been more cases. Now it's starting to taper off because of the vaccine that has been given, and now 12 years and old can get it. 12 years and old and up can get it. So I'm hoping that soon we'll be able to have some normalcy. I don't believe it will ever go back to our norm. We'll have a new norm. But I ask my children to wear theirs if we're going somewhere. Even my grown son, he chooses to wear his if we go out somewhere, and I that's just my personal opinion. But yes, I don't see anything wrong with it. I've seen the kids when they come into school, their parents drop them off. We have at our campus, most children wear their mask. And when they drop them off, I've seen kids pull it off, and I've seen walking up, and I've seen the mom kind of give the little look and they put it right back up. So I'm sure that they've had that discussion with their child. It's just time will tell, how this virus is going and what the outcome is. I pray about it all the time. I pray over my family. I pray over myself. I pray over my household. I pray over the school. We have to. You have to, because you're in that atmosphere and you want to be as safe as possible as well.
Right. And, it is scary. I always say that everything, I don't care what it is, happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And there are some habits that I've picked up because of the virus. I think I will continue on. And I had one incident where I was expecting them to come, but they came to the door, they pushed the doorbell. And when I opened the door, of course, I was inside the threshold. They were out, but they were a good distance. They had to be at least 6 feet from me. However, they began to talk to me. He came to pick up my husband's car. That's what it was. His truck had been in an accident. But as he began to talk, I could see his saliva was just flying out of his mouth. And I was like, okay. I need to continue wearing masks because it's just natural, and then I wouldn't I'm a big Amazon person. So when we pick up packages, and I have to tell my husband, don't bring a package in my house if you haven't taken like a sanitizing cloth and wiped up the outside of the package off.
Right.
It's just amazing. You think they bought it from the warehouse, put it on a truck, they bring it to you. They are filthy. So even if they don't have a virus on them, they just are filthy. You shouldn't even want to touch them. So that is a habit I know I will continue.
Right. And it's funny that you say that, because it does make you more aware of things that we should have been doing all along. We've always washed our hands. We've always done that. It's more vigilant now. And it sticks with you more often oh no, I've got to have that. It's like a habit now. I've got to have that. I have hand sanitizer. I've got to go wash my hands. Look at the flu has not even been that bad this year because of social distancing, because of mask wearing. And it makes you think, when you said that, you could see the saliva, whether you could physically see it or not with your eye, what's coming out of there. And so it makes you more aware of your surroundings. When you used to not think, somebody would sneeze, you'd be, oh bless you. Now if somebody sneezes, you're going to be like, get those germs away. But it makes you more vigilant.
Right. It's just funny. But thank you for that response with our young people. But I agree with that. We just have to rather be safe than sorry, because we don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, Ms. Cynthia, Build Your Best Life focuses on ensuring that young men have an opportunity to be their best selves. Now, you have raised sons. Please tell the audience a couple of ways that you believe parents often go wrong as they're raising sons. Some of the things that, if you had to look back, you're like, maybe I should have done that.
Wow. Yeah. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Things that we didn't have, we want to be able to give our children. We want to be able to give our sons. We want to be able to provide more for them, give them everything. The phones, for instance. Everybody wants a phone nowadays. Of course, there's an age limit, before my sons ever got their first phone. Nowadays, I see kids walking around with phones in kindergarten, and I don't understand it, but it's not for me to understand. That's not my household, and they have their own decisions of why they make it. But it goes back to, we want to give them the things that we didn't have, and I think by doing that, I've been guilty of it, of giving them something, the game systems when they come out. You want them to have it, but then you have to think, like, for instance, we gave our boys the game systems when they were younger. So then they spend a lot more time on the game instead of going outside, instead of, doing other things. Um, you know, Sometimes their homework would suffer, or they would say, "Yes, I did it," and they'd go through it real quick. Well, yeah, they did it, but how well did they do it? So there's some things that we do, that can hinder them. We want to make sure that they didn't have to. Well, in my case, when we were kids, you have to have chores, you have to do this, but it seemed like so many chores, and I thought to myself, well, I'm going to give my boys some chores, but I'm not going to give them as many as I had. I'm not going to teach them to do certain things until they're older. Well, when they're older, they're set in their ways that it's like, it's an argument. Why do I have to wash the dishes? Why do I have to wash my own clothes? Why do I have to clean the bathroom? And it's stuff that I think if we start at a younger age with anything, they learn that it's just part of the process. That's part of what they have to do. So it can backfire on giving them everything that they I'm not gonna say everything that they want, but the things that we didn't have. So we try to make it up and give it to them and live our life a little bit through them and stuff. And it doesn't teach them responsibility. It doesn't teach them that they need to get up there and work for what they need. So there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance of what you give them, what you feed them. And I'm not talking about food, what you feed them, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's a combination that they need. You can give them the platform. You give them their foundation when they're younger. And from there, they build on it and build on it, because one day, whether we're ready or not, they're going to take off on their own, some sooner than others. They're going to just start, doing their thing, going out with their friends. And, you just want them to have that foundation that they know, oh, I remember we talked about this. Should I do it? At least they're going to question it before they make that decision. And like I said, I always tell them there's a choice. If you make a choice, just remember there's always a consequence. So good choice, good consequence.
Right.
Bad choice, bad consequence.
Yeah, that's a good response. I like that. But it is just so important, again, working is, I can't, melting the two together, the girls' platform, the young men's platform. But again, none of those young ladies want to receive a young man. They get married and it's like, okay, I need some help. Help with what? I don't know how to wash. I don't know how to iron. I go to the grocery store. Okay, I don't know how. So,
That's true. We need to teach our young men, just like we do our young ladies. We need to teach our young men how to treat a lady, how to respect their boundaries. They need to know, how can because I've always said, if you don't respect your own mother, you will not respect any female.
Yeah.
You just won't. So they need to know the boundaries. They need to know how to, like I said, respect a female in general. Will they always agree? No. But like I said, if you put that in their foundation at a young age, they're gonna think about it and they're gonna question it. And hopefully we pray that they will make the right decision.
Right.
Yes.
Definitely. Yes, it is. It's so, I think, important for them to, everyone needs to respect themselves first. But like you said, if they don't treat their moms or have respect for their moms, 99.9% of the time, they won't have that respect for young ladies. And, who really, if that person, loves themselves and respects themselves, they're not going to want a young man that would disrespect them.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
so important, I think.
It is very important. Just like you see, there's a lot of the father-daughter dances that go on around Valentine's Day and stuff like that. I've seen a couple of mother-son dances, but I have some friends of mine that they take their daughters out on dates and show them how they deserve to be treated. And I hope that there's a lot of moms that do the same thing. Take your son out. Show him how to treat you. Show them how to treat a young lady. Show them what it means to listen, because it's hard for us. We can talk, girls and boys, and you can talk over each other, but, we have to teach our young children how to listen and how to just sit back, chill for a minute, and just listen to what they're saying to have a good conversation. And you can teach that at a young age. I mean, they learn that in school, communication. That's the first thing they learn, is how to communicate with their peers. So if we can get more of that, that would be awesome for these young men, for the young people in general.
Right. This is also, and it's so key. You're talking about the listening part, because people don't realize that's part of communication, to listen. And as we talk to our young men, a lot of times, they're not watching you, looking at you anyway, most of the time. So you wonder, are they comprehending what I'm saying? Are they understanding? How will they be when they get married or whatever? But I got the sweetest Valentine card this year. My youngest son got married last year. So for Valentine's Day, he gave me this card, and in the card he said, "Thank you so much for showing me how to treat a lady. I really appreciate it, Mom."
Wow.
So,
I bet that melted your heart.
it did. And the first time I met it was his fiance at the time. That was one of the things she said to me. She said, "Oh, thank you so much. You raised an amazing son." And it just made me like, oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah, it makes a difference because we know we try and we do the best that we can. And but to hear that, it just gives you that. Oh, I can't even imagine just hearing that. And one day soon, mine are still young, so.
Right. Okay, you talked about, but getting things for your kids or whatever. And I don't know why this came to my mind, but this is one of those way out there questions. But let's just say that your family comes into a substantial amount of money. There's enough to sustain at least the next three generations if you manage it appropriately. How would you manage funds given to a child, one of your kids, if they were at the age where they were graduating from high school, or one that's graduated from college? How would you disperse funds to them, knowing that you had all this money?
Wow. It goes back to giving them too much too quick to make up for the things that we didn't have. Obviously, if I came into money like that, I'd be happy in the first place. I'd be thrilled. But, if you have a child who's in high school, it would just help you. They would not, I'm going to be honest with you, they would not get money. They would not get a chunk of money. They are still learning how to grow, how to maneuver through this thing called life. And they're just at the beginning of it. Would they have, clothes, the necessities, stuff like that would help pay for where they're living, the extra money. Would we do more family things? Yeah, we'd do more family trips, more family gatherings, more family whatever. And then as for a college student, well, back up for the high schooler, that would go towards paying their college. But still, I would not make it known that that's it, because my thing is that's my money. You still have to work. You still have to work to get what you want. I don't want them to feel like just because my parents have money, I can glide through life. Because just as easily as given to you, it can be easily taken.
Right.
So, Yeah, so that would help them. And as opposed to a college student, same thing. I would definitely give more, help them. They would need transportation. They would need, tuition or whatever they needed to get them through there. And I would encourage them to go as far as they could with their career. But I would probably set up trust funds for my children, after they've, with stipulations of they had to do certain things, before they could get it. And finishing their education would be one of those, not getting in trouble. But it's there as it would be nice to be able to do things for them, but there would still be certain things that they have to do on their own, so they know that they have to still be responsible. They still have to be responsible. They still need to know how to work hard, how to do what they need to do to get where they want to be, and not just be handed to them. Because I think a lot of times, if you just hand stuff to your children, why do they feel the need to work hard for it? They know that mom or dad or family is going to come bail them out if they get in trouble. Mom or dad or family is going to come to their rescue if they need money. Do I want to do this? You give, but it has to be for a good reason. And working hard is a good reason that you get rewarded for. We get rewarded all the time. If we work hard at our job, we get a paycheck.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I just think it's so important to, try to teach them values, because I guess I thought of this question because I kept seeing these large jackpots with the lotto, and I'm thinking, there are so many actors, pro athletes or whatever, and at one point in their lives they had all this money, and then you read about it and they don't have any. So I'm thinking, well, one of my things is teaching basic principles. So to me, some of that is financial stability. What do you do when you have money? You don't just go spend it because you have it and you think, oh, I'm just going to keep making millions, so I'm going to keep spending it. Well, no, you have to save for the future, and you don't just spend everything you have. There's this thing called taxes that you have to pay, and again, just because, I play sports, maybe I'm only physically working so many months out of the year, so the rest of the time I can act a fool,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of like, okay, so where are we missing the target here? I know years ago that stuff was taught at a younger age,
Mhm.
in school, at home, neighbors, whatever. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's not being taught anymore. So that's kind
Yeah.
of where that question came from.
Well, I agree. And plus, I mean, if you give and you give and you give, why they're going to be accustomed to making, or not making, they're going to be accustomed to that certain amount of money. And if they should fall and become down on themselves because they can't, you're setting them up to go out there and make the quick money. And that quick money entails different things that are just not good. What if they wanted to make that quick dollar, and they decide they're going to go out there and sell drugs, or they're going to go out there and do illegal stuff to get the quick money. So, there still has to be, like you said, the money management, knowing how to manage uh, the money from beginning to end, where you're going to go, the financial stability, all of that. So it would be wonderful, but you'd have to know how to do it.
Right. Yes, definitely know what to do with it when they get it.
Yeah.
But I think, that was interesting. I don't know, just thought about that.
But it would be nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and Miss Gwen, I know you've raised a son. Share with us what you think about it. I know, Peggy, you have nephews, but just tell us what y'all think. Put it in the comments. So Cynthia, what are some tips that you can give us to assist parents in dealing with some of the newer risky behaviors and I say they're new, so I don't know if you ever had to deal with them or not, but I was doing some research and I came across some things and I'm like, oh, okay. you know.
Wow. There's so much out there. And social media is the number one influencer to me because you can easily get on there and find anything, see anything. The new TikTok that's out there, there's some fun stuff on there, but then there's stuff that, last year we came across not last year, pre-COVID, for the young kids, the backpack challenge. I don't know if y'all ever heard that. So, the backpacks are big and heavy, and they would fill them full of books and everything. And a student would run through in between the desk, and everybody would throw that backpack at them to see if they made it. I mean, you have some heavy backpacks. Think about it. Could knock them down. It could hurt them physically if they were to fall or hit them in the head and stuff like that. That's one of the simpler ones. I mean, remember years ago there was the pods, the eating the pod challenge.
Oh yes.
There's been the drinking the alcohol challenges. There's, like I said, we have to stay on top of them, what they're watching, what they're doing on social media, who they're hanging out with. Yes, we're going to get in their business. That's our business to get in their business. And, it just takes that one time for them to go with a buddy, get in trouble. Their buddy decides to do something illegal, and they just happen to be with there, whether they knew they were going to do it or not. Guilty by association. It's hard. So there's a lot of different things out there to keep an eye on. Who, of course, we know this, who they hang out with. I always had to know who they hang out with. My house, I would rather my children be at my house with all their friends than to be out there. Of course, they had to go places sometimes. I wasn't going to keep them sheltered in like that. But I tell you what, at the school, they knew Miss Ferguson because when they went to school, I told my children all the time, I tell my boys, I have your back 100% until you show me that you lied to me or show me that you couldn't be trusted. But I also told the teachers, I have their back as long as I know that, we're all on the same communication, that I know what's going on. I needed the school to know that I was an involved parent, and I needed my kids to know I was an involved parent for two different reasons on two different sides. So you just have to stay vigilant. You have to stay, I say me because I'm older, and sometimes some of this stuff that comes up, some of the conversation that comes up, some of the words and the slang, I'm like, what does that mean? I need to know what that means. And you got to keep up with the times because it's moving and moving and moving so fast. One thing that we talked about last month may mean something totally different this month or next month. So social media is a big influencer, which I said can be, it can influence children. Look at all the stuff that was happening when they were on there with all the suicides. We had that little suicide challenge. I forgot what it was called. And, if somebody is struggling, especially right now during COVID, we're just starting to get back out. There's a lot of mental health issues going on right now. And that's all somebody has to see and think, oh, well, that's an easy way out. Or let's try that. Let's just see. That looks like fun, So parents have to just really, really keep an eye on what their children are playing, what their children are watching. On social media, there's certain things that they should be age appropriate. And even with some of the age appropriate, there's some little things in there that you still have to watch because the little innuendos that are in there. It's just, you have to be vigilant. We just have to be.
Yes, you really do. And it's amazing as well. Something they have a similar name because my granddaughter, she was telling me she was in the bathtub. So she was saying, put something in YouTube. So I put it in there and this thing came up and I was watching it and I'm like, wait a minute. Because it was like it had violence in it, it had to me sexy, and it's like I was like, huh, what? They were supposed to be bowling, and then somebody gets blown up, and then you have Super Mario. He has no clothes on. Then he goes to a castle and he sees this I guess she's a queen or whatever, and he picks her up and runs into the castle, and he keeps saying, all you can hear him saying is Mama Mia, Mama Mia. Somebody daughter says, why does he keep saying Mama Mia? I was like, I don't know, but why do you tell me to go on that site? Mama, you go on that site?
That's funny.
Her mom started questioning her, but it was a site that was similar, but that was the wrong one. I was like, oh my goodness, is it that easy to get?
But they do, especially when they're younger. It's like, it's fun and it's funny to them and stuff like that. But it's like, well, is it giving them the okay as they get older? Hey, it was okay for somebody gave me an example. You may have heard this of when we were kids, we used to watch Pepe Le Pew. And, he was all over the little, I forgot her name and stuff. But somebody pointed out to me, this was like a year or so ago, and they're like, well, nowadays, if a male was to be that aggressive with a female, that's harassment, that's sexual harassment, because he's holding her and wanting to kiss her and stuff. And, kids see these things and it's fun at the time, and it's all meant, for the kids to enjoy the cartoons and stuff. But they're also learning from what they watch.
Right.
Is it okay for me to just go up there and just hug and kiss and stuff, when it's not? So, yeah, eat cartoons, music, everything, everything that's in the music. It's just a variety of everything. So it's good to have a good communication and understanding with your children. As hard as it may be sometimes, it is hard to talk to our kids sometimes. It is hard to be very open with them because you want to limit what they learn, which is age appropriate, but you also don't want to shelter them in because they're going to learn from their friends, from the internet, from others, and what they learn is not always right.
All right. Yes, we have to, you can't sugarcoat it. You have to have those conversations, because if you don't, like you say, somebody else is going to, and then you're not giving them the right information. So at least you want them to have the correct information,
Exactly.
Yes. But there are some things out there. I mean, because I really didn't probably until right before COVID hit, I didn't realize that suicide was such a big thing with high school age and young adult males. I mean, I think it's the second or third highest cause of death among that age group. And it's because, kids they get such low self-esteem, and then it's the way people talk to them. Not only peers or whatever, but sometimes in the home, if parents don't know how to talk with their child, you can't yell and call them names and, well, you're so stupid. Well, if you tell somebody they're stupid long enough, they're gonna think they're stupid. So you can't do things like that. I mean, you can, but you should not, because it really impacts the mind.
It does. It definitely does. And they take in everything they hear, especially when they're first starting out, when they're toddlers and they hear stuff and they, see stuff. And, whether it's families arguing, their parents arguing, they hear the way each other talks to each other. And then they learn that, or they think that it's okay to treat others like that.
All right. Yeah. I did a segment. I think it was last month, but I was saying, I said preschool and above, because when they're younger, everybody can play together, everybody loves everybody. But it's when you get older and then you begin to see other people treat people a certain way or talk to people a certain way, then it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's okay. Because, they don't know any different. So they see that, they think it's okay. So we have to be very careful about what we say and what we do. And, those saying, don't do as I say, don't do as I do as I say, but they're not going to do that. Your kids are going to do as they see you do. You can tell them all day long, but you can tell them that the sky is orange. It's orange. And you go out there and paint it blue. And they say, oh, no, my mom painted it blue, so it's not orange, it's blue. because it's what they see. So we
Right.
just be careful.
Yeah, and it is. It's hard. It's hard for anybody. We gotta not only, we always say, don't just talk the talk, but walk the walk, or whatever that saying is. I get it mixed up sometimes, and it's hard. It's hard even for us adults, because we're human and the flesh comes around sometimes and it wants to just come out, but we have to really stop and think, especially if we're trying to teach our children and our young men how to walk in life, how to be a young man, how to present yourself as a young man, how to get out there and, which I love, your program, to teach them, how to present themselves, how to shake a hand when they're introducing themselves. A lot of people say it's old school. And yes, I know we haven't because of COVID and stuff, but it's still something that needs to be taught. You know, you can't just, we're not going to be elbowing each other for the rest of our life.
Right.
We're not going to be high fiving and stuff, but you have to know how to present yourself in an interview. I had a friend of mine telling me that they were interviewing at her job and she just hasn't had anybody. She said, I've only had 3 people interview, and one or two of them canceled. And the one that came in was a young lady. She came in with a very, very short dress, flip flops, and she had her hair pulled up in a bandana. And, I responded to my friend. I said, it's a shame because we're human and we see first impressions, which we shouldn't, because we're always told don't judge a book by the cover. But that's the human nature that we do that. And, she could be well experienced in what she did, but, that's why I do what I do, is to teach these young people how to communicate, proper communication at the right time, how to dress for an interview, how to, just all of that. And I know with the young men, especially with young men who are trying to, especially if they're trying to move forward, say, for instance, they've been in a little trouble. This can go for any youth, and they want to move forward and leave that behind them, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
They fight with themselves sometimes because you want a little bit of what you're supposed to do, learn how to, dress a little bit nicer and stuff, but you still want a little bit of the hood too,
Right.
It's true. I did that with my younger son. He tried, to do some stuff, but he still wanted a little bit of the hood in him. And it's like, you got to decide at some time and point in your life what you want and how you're going to get there. It's like it's like a roadmap. If you want to travel, you have to know where you're going. Same thing with life. We can have our little roadmap. It's not always going to work out the way we put it. Like I told you when I was younger, I said I would never, 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 and I'm here now.
Yes.
But at least have a plan. At least have a plan.
Right. Yes, and it is just so important. But we at least teach them. And that's one thing. If you don't know, again, but that is the purpose. That's why I just wish that people would share this platform. We get more young men on here, or pass the word, or whatever. Because if you don't know, that's one thing. But you got someone that's willing to take the time to show you. Because, like you said, you go on an interview and you walk in the room and you just go in there, plop down in the chair. That's strike one right there. Because
Right.
you're supposed to stand until they ask you to sit down. Then you go in there and you got on a shirt and it has some kind of logo on or something on it, a slogan or whatever. Because you don't know. But if you listen to these type broadcasts, or people are trying to assist you to help you, and it's not just we don't like the way you look. I like some of the more casual outfits, but if there is a time and a place for every outfit.
Exactly.
You know that.
Exactly. And they need to know you don't have to go buy something new. You don't. You take care of what you have. You wash it, you iron it or whatever. You don't have to have a lot of money to go buy a brand new suit for an interview. There's ways around it. There's ways around it, and we need to teach our young kids, our young people, male and female, all of this so they know how to move forward, or at least are given the opportunity, because like I said, a lot of times they don't have that guidance, and it could be a single family home. It could be they choose not to listen to the parent, but maybe they'll listen to somebody else outside of the household.
Yes.
Maybe they're fighting with their emotions on, should I do this, should I not? And just sometimes having somebody to listen and give them their, your thoughts on it, it may help them.
Yes. You don't always have to, and one big mistake I think our young men and probably young ladies as well make is that they're always trying to fit in. Always
Yeah.
trying to fit in. It's okay to be yourself, because that's how a lot of fashions or trends get started, because someone started doing it. And I don't know if many people watch this. Well, probably millions do watch it, but I love The Voice on TV. And the young man that won, I just thought it was amazing because he didn't try to dress latest fashions to me. Some days he would be on there and he'd have his hair braided, but his basic style, I think, was the afro from the 70s, and he even had his little pick sticking in his hair. And I was like, that's amazing. He is being himself, because his talent that God gave him is his voice, which he is using, but he's being himself. He's not trying to be anybody else. And I just wish more people would try to be yourself.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
anybody else.
I agree. And that's hard sometimes for people, like you said, because I think a lot of times that they're lost and they don't know who they are because they don't have the guidance to help them to, their thought process, well, what do you want out of life? How do you perceive to get there? And if you don't have somebody guiding you, you can easily get lost.
Yes.
And you're going to follow the next person instead of being that leader. Like you said, his name was Cam. It just dawned on me, Cam.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, I loved him, and I'm so glad he won.
That was my only one I
had. Yes.
Yeah. So, Carolyn, it has been, I don't keep calling you Carolyn. I know your name. Cynthia, it has been great. Before you leave, there's two things I would like for you to do. One of those is if you have any closing tips that you would like to offer to the young men or young ladies, as well as parents. And then before you leave, I want you to, again, tell people a little bit more about your Divas organization.
Sure. Again, it just goes back to, really trying to, as parents, sometimes we need to, because we're the parent, we know, right? Sometimes as parents, we need to close this and open these and listen and give them the opportunity, whether it's something that you agree on with them. Look, I'm going to give you 10 minutes and you just talk and tell me how you feel. I'm not going to say anything from there on. And then I'm going to respond, or vice versa. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do. But it's something that maybe, you try it. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, you haven't lost anything. And just be vigilant and watching out for what they do, who they hang out with. I know it's hard because you want to give them that little bit of freedom. And you do it in stages. They have to prove themselves. You give them an inch, and if they can do it for that inch, then you give them another inch. But if you give them that inch and they're going to go for the full mile one time, you got to step back. We still have to be parents. We still have to we're supposed to do for our children. And I think that's about it on that one. And I like Deborah said, I am the founder of the Wolfettes program, which is a girls empowerment group through the school that I work with. But I've also partnered with, or became the board of director for Divas Build Futures, which these are both empowering girls groups. Mine at the school is from 6th grade up to 12th grade. And then with Divas Build Future, we do from age 10 to 25. We are in the process of working towards building an academy. The founder of that foundation is Aisha Scott. She's a wonderful person. If anybody's interested, they can look it up at www.divasbuildfutures.com and give more information. If you're wanting to be a sponsor, we just did a wonderful program for young ladies, and we work with them in all aspects of their life. And in the academy, we're going to have not just a traditional academic, but college is not for everybody. Although we want everybody to go, but there's other options. There's trades that they can go into work, go to trades and work. There's military. So we're going to give them all the options and have trades within the school as well. So, look us up.
Great. And give us that website again.
www.divasbuildfutures.com.
All right. You got to check them out. And I have met Asia. She was on my broadcast before, but I definitely want to get together and have a night with our girls on. So we have to get together and make that happen.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. Maybe we can get some young men and some young women and let them just kind of see where the conversation goes, and we just kind of moderate it.
Oh, that would be great too. Yes, sounds wonderful. So I'll be getting with you on that. But thank you everyone so much for tuning in. And Cynthia, this has been great. I don't know why, but you just came into my spirit. I liked your spirit when you were on and you were commenting and everything. So I'm glad that we had an opportunity to get together, because I want to do some more things with you. So thank you so much for taking the time out today. It has
Thank
been
you.
great.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed it.
Thanks. So everyone, again, coming up June the 12th, I'm having our second annual Men and Boys Conference, and we have some fantastic speakers that are going to be with us. Vito Patrick from Freeport, Bahamas, Bishop John Guns from Jacksonville, Florida, Santana Johnson from Jacksonville, Florida, Adrian McConnell from Dallas, Texas, and Coach Ricardo Miller from Dallas, Texas. So all these men are powerhouses. So I know they have some wonderful information to share. And it's not just for men and boys. This is for everyone, educators, parents, grandparents, our youth, because they're going to provide some very helpful information. So please share this information, put it on your calendars. Check out my website, www.buildyourbestlife.org. You can always see my calendar of events, and I have a parents chat, an educators chat, young men's chat, as well as a leaders chat each month to get different people's perspective, because I believe it takes everybody together, the knowledge they have, the experience that they have, working together to help our young people, because we won't always be around. We need our young people to step up, be equipped, and be the best that they can be. So you'll have some powerhouses leading for the next 20, 50, 100 years. So I want to see that happen. So we just remember, as always, as you travel on your road to being the best you, that you will run into distractions, rough terrain, detours, and pitfalls. Don't let any of these negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though they may slow you down, keep going to be the best you so that you can build your best life. Remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan. That's our commitment. So thank you so much. Be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your week. Cynthia, love you. Take care and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Oh, and I almost forgot. While you're on my website, please check out my book, Build Your Best Life. It has basic principles to assist our young people, parents, educators, and everybody to help assist that new generation in building their best lives. So you can get an autographed copy on my website. If you're in the Bahamas, you can get them as well quickly. Anastasia Smith has copies in the Bahamas. And if you love ebooks, Amazon.com, I can't talk, Amazon.com has the ebook. So again, thank y'all so much. Be blessed. See you next time.